The sky has been stretched. The seas have been gathered. Light governs the day. The moon rules the night. But the waters are still empty, silent, waiting. And God said, "Let the waters teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky." Genesis 1:20. For the first time in the Bible, life moves. The Hebrew word here implies abundance, swarming, multiplying. The waters do not receive one creature. They explode with life. Movement replaces stillness. Sound replaces silence. Genesis 1:21 says, "So God created the great sea creatures." The Hebrew phrase is tananim. And here is where mystery begins. Tananim can mean large sea creatures. But in other parts of Scripture, the same word refers to sea monsters, dragons, massive, mysterious beings of the deep. For example, in Psalm 74 and Isaiah 27, similar language describes chaotic sea forces. So what is happening here? Some scholars believe Genesis is simply describing large marine animals, whales, massive sea life. Others suggest something more deliberate. In ancient Near Eastern mythology, sea monsters symbolized chaos. But Genesis does something radical. It says, God created them. No battle, no struggle, no rival deity slain. Just creation by command. In surrounding cultures, chaos monsters threatened the gods. In Genesis, even the great sea creatures are part of the design. Not enemies. Not threats. Just creatures. This passage quietly dismantles fear. Then Genesis turns upward. Let birds fly above the earth. The skies that were empty now pulse with wings. The realms formed on day 2 are now filled on day 5. Structure becomes inhabited. Design becomes alive. Notice the pattern: day 2, waters below, sky above. Day 5, creatures fill waters and sky. Genesis is not random. It is architecturally precise. Form, then fill. Realm, then ruler. Then something remarkable happens. For the first time, God blesses. Be fruitful and multiply. This is the first blessing spoken in Scripture. Life is not accidental. It is commissioned. The blessing implies more than reproduction. It implies flourishing, expansion, purpose. Life is meant to increase, to spread, to fill what was once empty. Remember Genesis 1:2? Darkness over the deep. Formless waters. Now those same waters teem with life. The deep is no longer silent. It pulses. The chaos becomes cradle. Modern science describes life emerging in oceans. Complex marine organisms developing long before land animals. Genesis describes waters filled before land creatures appear. It does not describe evolutionary mechanisms. But the sequence is striking. Water life first. Land life later. The sea has always symbolized uncertainty, depth, the unknown. But in Genesis, even the unknown obeys. Even the depths produce life at God's command. Nothing is outside His reach. But something is still missing. Sea creatures move. Birds soar. But the land remains quiet. Prepared since day 3. Vegetation grows. But no animal walks it yet. And no image bearer stands upon it. Genesis is building towards something. The pattern intensifies. Creation grows more complex, more relational, more intentional. And soon, the language will change. On day 5, God creates by command. Let the waters bring forth. But on the next day, the wording shifts. From command to consultation. Let us make. Who is us? And what does it mean to be made in image? The sea is alive. The sky is alive. But the earth still waits. Next episode. we reach the climax of Genesis 1. The creation not just of life, but of likeness. The image of God.